The Seattle Seahawks are one of the most intriguing teams in the NFL. They are constantly a playoff presence with lack thereof talent. They've got a top head coach, a top QB, and a top middle linebacker, and not that much else. Yet they still constantly get reasons and ways to make it into the playoffs. Be it lucky breaks, one score games for the entire season like we saw last year. Either way, they make the playoffs. But they haven't really been Super Bowl contenders the past few years. Now, some may argue that last year they were. I generally agree. If it wasn't for two running backs getting injured, well, a lot of position groups got injured. That's besides the point. Seahawks are in a position to make big moves in the 2020 offseason and draft. And there's a lot of reason to be optimistic, and there's a lot of reasons to think nothing's going to happen. So I'm going to go over some of the reasons why I think you should be optimistic or side on the side of caution of the Seahawks, being one of those teams to win the Super Bowl. Because you got to compete with the Chiefs, the 49ers, technically the Packers. I don't really consider them the best team in the world, but that's besides the point. Here it is. 5 reasons to be optimistic, 5 reasons to be pessimistic. So, there we go. Reason number 1 to be optimistic is, of course, Russell Wilson. He's a quarterback that can win you games no matter what you do. You can be down 21-3 at halftime, and Russell Wilson's right there in return. Touchdown, 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 game over. You won 24-21. That's just how Seattle plays. They have the motif of a second half team, and Russell Wilson plays this factor a lot. And whenever you have arguably the best quarterback, if not top 2 in the game, I personally have Mahomes and Wilson as 1A, 1B, due to their sole ability to win games for any team they play on. I don't think any are quarterbacks in that caliber personally. Yeah, Russell Wilson. He's the quarterback that wins. And whenever you have Russell Wilson, you should be able to expect a playoff berth at least. Have a great team built around his strengths. You're going to make a deep run and possibly even to the Super Bowl. No one's ever guaranteed, but pretty good shot. Now, here's a reason to be pessimistic in a way. It still revolves around Russell Wilson. It's his contract and the stigma around toply paid quarterbacks never winning Super Bowls. Reference: whenever a quarterback gets the big money, that's usually when they don't win Super Bowls because most of your team's allocated cap room is going into the quarterback. No player has ever won a Super Bowl when they're being paid more than $20 million a year as QB. Personally, there's a guy to change it. It's going to be Wilson or Mahomes, but still, you're paying a quarterback $30 million plus a year. And when your cap space is about $200 million going into next season and you have to fill 53 spots on your roster, most of which aren't still on the team, then yeah, it's definitely harder. Thank God Seattle is definitely one of those teams that has known to go around the cap space before, but you don't have the flexibility that they had when you had the Legion of Boom and Seattle and Doug Baldwin and Kearse all on their rookie deals. You're in a different ballgame now. Bobby Wagner's top paid linebacker in the league. Russell Wilson's top paid quarterback in the league up until next season when Mahomes gets paid. And you got some work to do. Now, luckily, going into no reason to be optimistic, the free agency class is, and the draft class to the extent, is suited for how Seattle is. Seattle has a lot of, has a lot of cap space. A lot. I believe they are top 10 in the league. And after possibly cutting players like Ed Dixon, which saves you $4 million, Justin Britt would save you upwards to $9 million. Even though I'd err on the side of caution on getting rid of your your center, the most important position on the offensive line next to the blindside tackle. But I'd say keep him, but there's still a lot you can do to cut players and gain just a little bit more money. That plays into, the free agency, where obviously top priority is to re-sign Jadeveon Clowney to maybe 22 million a year, which they staved off paying Frank Clark and they traded him, but I think Clowney is a far superior player in every facet. He is not exactly a pass rusher, but he was number one last year in getting double teamed. He constantly had caused pressure. I think some part during the season, there was a third of the time he was on the field, he created, pressure for the quarterback, which is pretty good. Pretty good. And not to mention, the guy can just fly sideline to sideline. He has very good lateral quickness to beat blockers and stop the run, which is what I believe he's best at. You have a guy running a stretch the other way, Clowney's lined up opposite side, the next thing you know, Clowney's right there 3 seconds later. You have to re-sign a player with that instinct, but there's also players like, I believe his name's Brandon Sheriff, you have Anthony Canizano, you have possibly Trent Williams, depending on his relation with the Redskins organization after the whole cancer debacle. And, and there's other options you can trade for as well. I wouldn't be shocked if Seattle, traded or drafted an offensive lineman because the trenches is really where they need the work done. Seattle's offensive line has notoriously been bad. 2 years ago, they were ranked 18th, and this year they were hyped up to be pretty good, yet they really were below par for their talent grade, albeit injuries were a big factor. And not to mention, there's Seattle might be in the market for a tight end since Disley's great. He's a top 10 tight end when he's not injured. The only issue is 2 seasons in the league and 2 times before the midseason mark, he's gone down to season-ending injuries, which, injury bug is something in the NFL, and wear and tear is something you don't want to deal with. Also, going on another note is, again, what am I saying? Right. Getting back to the topic at hand, Disley, injury prone. Hollister is a quality starting tight end, but I don't know if he can fill, the every down role of some tight ends, like your Kelce's, your Kittles, your Kelce's, your Kittles, and your Grahams to an extent. Yeah, I'm really drawing blanks at tight ends nowadays, since a lot of teams have, 2 tight end sets that they like to run a lot. Whenever Disley's healthy, I'd put him top 5, top 10, but that's besides the point. Also, defensive back is a concern. They are going to need a cornerback 3 or even a cornerback 2 to play alongside Griffin and Flowers. Griffin's great cornerback, criminally underrated. The only thing is, if he can actually get an interception, he'd be great, but people call Byron Jones one of the better corners in the league, and he can't catch for the life of him. Honestly, to me, it says numbers if you're a great cornerback and you can't intercept the ball. That means they're not throwing your way that much. And it is usually a good quarterback that knows how to beat you, which some do, like your Wilsons and Rodgers and Mahomes. But then you have Trey Flowers on, the right-hand side, and he's good as a CB2, but he didn't have the breakout year most people expected, so adding another corner there is going to bolster up the lineup on the DBs a little bit. Maybe they go after a safety if McDougal's not, their answer anymore, which I think it is. Quandary Days and McDougal made a really good pairing. Not the quality of Cam Chancellor or Earl Thomas, but fairly good in and of itself. Next up, the reason not to be optimistic is injury concerns in the running back and tight end department. Obviously, I covered Disley, Dixon's going to get cut because he honestly has not been healthy over the past 2 years, and he's going in his final year of the deal, which means borderline nothing to excuse me, borderline nothing to lose when you release him. Then, running backs, the first, second, and third string got injured within, several weeks of each other. Rashad Penny tore his ACL way in the season, so it's going to be iffy for him to come back right away. Chris Carson fractured his hip, which hip injuries are not good in the world of the NFL. A hip injury is what ended Bo Jackson's career, and he's probably the greatest talent at running back ever. Tua Tagovailoa was considered the number 1 overall pick this year. Maybe he still is. He isn't going to be, though, but he broke his hip, and it's recovered well, but he has dropped off spots, and people are wondering if the Dolphins are even going to take him at 5. Carson is a brilliant running back, top 10, but the injury concerns are there. CJ Procise is just going to get released if he's still on the team contract-wise. So, you might want to look, I wouldn't say look at the big name running backs like your Henrys, but I'd say look more like Matt Breida of the 49ers. He's slated to be a free agent, I'm pretty sure. Adds, a bit of speed in the backfield. Obviously, you have a great third down back. Obviously, Carson's still going to be your number 1 no matter what, unless he gets injured. Add a bit of speed to the running back depth, in my opinion, and they have a fine running back class. Yeah. But yeah, overall, really not great when it comes to injuries. All of them have the injury bug one way or another, except Hollister. At the same time, the reason why they've all been, top 10 talents, and Carson and Disley and Russell Wilson's been the MVP candidate this year, still somehow did not get a single vote. But, Schottenheimer, he gets more hate than, he doesn't really deserve that much hate, in my opinion. Brought him in. Seattle revamped their rushing attack, was number 1 last year, was top 5 this year, besides when they got injured. And Russell Wilson's had the 2 best career years of his career. So, obviously, his offense works. The Seattle offense works behind Schottenheimer. So that's just a normal reason to be optimistic, is that you have a good offensive coordinator. Same time, reason to be pessimistic is that, Pete Carroll and his philosophy on defense, and Ken Norton as the defensive coordinator, my opinion, should go. Carroll's philosophy is not going to change because it worked in USC, it worked for the Patriots, it worked for the Seahawks. And why would he change it? I think it's desperately time for a change. Not going to change it. And that's kind of a very, very scary thing, because Pete Carroll believes in balanced offense and playing the strong game, the bruising backs, running over the defense, making the defense tired. Then Russell Wilson comes down to second half and just starts dotting up the already tired defense. And just fair play. Gets to the playoffs off with that. But a lot of people, including myself, are saying, you should be passing it more in the first quarter, tire them through the air. Maybe just keep, that 50-50 split, maybe 60-40 favoring the pass. Because this season, Seattle has passed more than they ran compared to last season, where they ran more. Which, in part, can be due to the injuries to Carson, Penny, and Procise. But, yeah. Scheme is a lot to do in the NFL. You see teams like the Chiefs automatically go for the air raid. Same with early season Cardinals. And you have teams like the Ravens and the Niners who pride themselves on running the football. Same with Seattle to an extent. It seems like, at this point in the NFL, you got to pick one or the other, which people are clamoring for you to do such a thing. So, yeah. See, but going into that, Carroll's going to retire eventually. He's getting up there in age. It's going to be really interesting to see who Seattle brings in for the team after that's over. I'd say promote Schottenheimer to head coach, but it's just me. Obviously, reason to be optimistic. Number 5, final reason, is the young core of starters. Wilson's in his very early 30s, which for a quarterback is pretty good. Carson and Penny are under 25. DK Metcalf was a rookie. Tyler Lockett is 26 this season, I believe. Disley is 24, 25. Hollister is 25 or 26. Shaquille and Trey Flowers are under 25. Freaking Nato himself, Quandre Diggs, is 26. And Michael Dixon's 23. Jason Myers, the kicker, is 30, I believe, which is young for kickers. They usually last up until about 40 in the league. Yeah, their defense is young, not to mention, Rasheem Green on the defensive line. Ron Reed, if they re-sign him, he's 25. Jefferson as well. And Collier, if they ever decide to use him, which I don't think they will. I wish I took DK Metcalf with the first round pick, and LJ Collier with the second round pick. Well, it looked a lot better. But, that's besides the point. Also, O-line has some youth to it. Phil Haynes and Jamarco Jones. But, they're more developmental pieces, it seems. One thing about having a young team is they're inexperienced, and experience grows, and when the experience grows, team success rises. DK Metcalf as a rookie had a 900-plus yard season with 7-plus touchdowns, which is very rare for a rookie wide receiver. In fact, he actually single-handedly broke the NFL playoff record for most receiving yards in a debut by a rookie in the playoffs, which impressivo. Yeah, there's a lot of, excitement around Seattle and their rookies. And, final reason to not be so excited is their defense under Ken Norton Jr. and Pete Carroll has not been good since the LOB disbanded. I think they're still kind of stuck in the ways of the Legion of Boom, where they think they can play this, very, downfield offense or defense and stay at the quarterback level and hit wide receivers and all that. When in reality, it's a different defense now. The corners are more based on speed and man coverage. The safeties are more, and it's more of the one in the box, the one up top. They're usually being, the box safety. It's interesting, there's a lot of similarities to the LOB. It's just this version's, it's a step down, don't get me wrong, but it's more of a man version compared to a zone version. There's a lot more speed and, just general height. But the whole thing is, they let up a lot of yards. They won games, but they had a bottom 20 defense. This is including Jadeveon Clowney and Bobby Wagner, two of the best at the game in their respective positions. Obviously, I think this just be fixed by, a coaching change, which I hope happens, but could not. Could be still stuck with Ken Norton, who was never a good defensive coordinator, in my opinion. But, yeah. There are some reasons why you should be optimistic and pessimistic. Maybe Seattle actually makes the playoffs. Well, that's for certain. Seattle's always going to make the playoffs. Maybe they can make a run through a championship. Or maybe the Sounders are just a better team in Seattle. Could be worse. They're not the Mariners. Nope, this has been fun to rant about. And see ya.